My name is Dr. Artika Tyner. I'm the founder of Planting People Growing Justice Leadership Institute. We founded our nonprofit literacy organization to do two things: to promote literacy and diversity in books. We knew this was vitally important because where we sit today, 1 in 4 American children cannot read. If you can't read by that third or fourth grade level, you're looking at being 4 times more likely to drop out of school. And then dropping out of school increases your likelihood to be in contact with the criminal justice system by 3.5 times. I shouldn't be able to quote this. This is not good math. This is problematic as a societal issue. But here's the hope for the future. We can change that today. We have the tools to promote literacy. We have the tools to build strong families and strong communities. And we have the tools to build those opportunities for our young people to not have a pipeline to the school to prison pipeline challenge or dilemma. What point will we create pipelines to success? Not for some children, but for all. This manifests in our work because we're working directly with young people. We're helping them to discover the reader and leader within. As readers, finding joy in reading. Sometimes if you're not careful, reading can feel like a punishment, or it can feel like another school work assignment. But reading is so much more. Reading's about your imagination. Reading's about your creativity. And reading for me was about my destiny. So I'm sharing my life story, my experience each day when I work with young people. So how do we do this? Primarily in 2 ways. We have our Leaders or Readers program, which is held at the Rondo Library. That's a direct opportunity for family and community to come together for a comprehensive learning experience, but not comprehensive in a traditional academic way. It's supposed to be a carnival of fun, of learning, of reading, of growing in meaningful ways. It starts off that you have an opportunity to engage with a diverse author. For me, that never happened. I didn't even know any diverse authors. And more importantly, I didn't have any books with a diverse character that even center my life experience as a Black girl. So we are ensuring that we're creating both those mirrors and windows. Those mirrors where young people of color can see a positive representation of themselves on the pages of books, and those windows where we can ensure that all children learn across their differences and build cultural bridges. So Leaders or Readers is an opportunity to bring the community together, to learn, to grow, and lead. In addition, of course, I'm surrounded by books, but what I'm proud of is that most of the books I'm surrounded by were written by our community and written by our children in particular. We've trained 66 children authors. They have published a range of youth anthologies, of picture books, of poetry collections. We are teaching the young people that community organizing mantra: God voice, God power. Well, for me, my home was always the library. I would find myself lost in pages of books, being able to go in, enjoy the programming, and engage in meaningful ways. So my friend from grade school, we'd jump on the little bus or we'd walk over, look for the bookmobile. We were always chasing books. So I think that is where the journey starts. So it was a given for me that reading was not only this recreational activity, but reading was something that could give life. It could activate my imagination. I mean, think about it. We're from the Rondo community. Typically, our life was a 1 mile radius from Dale to Lexington. Lucky if you got all the way up to Snelling. So we were just in our neighborhood by design and by other contributing factors as well. But the library opened us up to the world. I traveled to China at the library. People were like, what? Before I went to China, as an adult, and I was a part of a Chinese immersion program, it started in books. I'm like, ooh, that's what the Great Wall is like. This is what it's like to work on my language skills. So for me, books and writing have always been a part of my life. The most cherished thing in our family home is the big Bible on the stand that my grandmother read to us, and we did our Bible stories every night. Reading and engaging in storytelling was everything. So then I would say the pivotal point that changed my life was realizing that that wasn't everyone's experience, because it definitely was mine. You save all my quarters, go to Salvation Army to buy books. So I'm telling you, it's my life. But the moment I knew when it was different is when I started to meet some of my clients who were incarcerated. And that was a big eye-opening experience, that they didn't have the same community network that I experienced in Rondo. They didn't have the same mentors or educational experience that I had. I thought it was a given, but over time I was like, maybe it was a privilege that not everyone has access to. But the pivotal moment of all that was the culmination that many of my clients learned how to read while in prison. That left me with a lot of questions. As a lifelong reader, lifelong educator, how could that be possible? And that's what was the aha moment that changed my life, of saying, what can we do? When here I have clients that can't even spell justice, but yet I'm talking about the pursuit of justice. How do they even conceptualize it? What does it mean to them? How do they navigate the world? Do they get a chance to have some of the experience that I have? I think the answer to all of the above are probably not. So that was what really was a pivotal change in my life, from being a civil rights attorney in the courtroom working with my clients to advocate for change in policy and becoming a literacy advocate. Most of my clients, I was connected to them related to work in the criminal justice system. So something as basic as, let's go through the evidence. Let's, review some of the documentation in front of us. My clients struggled with it. And it wasn't just something in the abstract. This is someone's life. This is their livelihood. This is their family. This is their community. This is their legacy and their future. And not having the tools to even understand how the legal system worked, how to protect their rights, and what would the pursuit of equal justice under the law really look like, that was definitely, to me, a call to action. I'm proud that Planting People Growing Justice is multifaceted. We are a Black-owned publishing house. We are a Black-owned bookstore. And we also have our nonprofit literacy foundation. So let's just start with the publishing house. The first barrier that you have to overcome related to publishing a book is working with someone to get it printed and distributed, right? That seems easy. It seems straightforward. But if you think about the challenges due to the lack of representation of diverse publishing houses, it's more complicated than you think. And my mantra is, I've been a lifelong educator, is when you see a problem, you create a solution. I remember when I wanted to publish my first book, I was told things like, well, I'm not sure Black people read. It's like, well, I'm standing in front of you and I read. Second thing is, even if we do read, you're not sure if we have the disposable income to buy books. That seems like a myth. Mythbuster is, if we have over $1 trillion in buying power, we can definitely buy books. And we're demonstrating now that we're revolutionizing the book industry because we're buying the books that we're interested in reading. We're building book clubs. We're engaging in meaningful ways. So a part of what I would tell anyone to be a part of a community is challenging myths and biases. And then what you do is create new access points and new opportunities for growth. And we did just that. So I'm proud. We published over a dozen books. We're now scheduled to be at the trajectory of doing at least a dozen books per year. And so it's changing our outputs, but it's also changing a particular output that we are then inspiring our local community to write for justice. There's a specific vehicle that we've created for that. It's called Planting People Growing Justice. The bookstore, both in person and e-commerce, provides an added layer of value to our community because then you can purchase the books that aren't typically sold in bookstores either. We have a curated list of diverse books to help inspire not just children, not just families, not just teachers, but the whole community around building a rich multicultural tapestry. And then I would say the nonprofit weaves it all together. It's the thread across that it's an opportunity to say, we will create access to these books. If cost is a barrier, here, we're creating access to the books. Better yet, if you haven't had a chance to interact with an author or even travel to a bookstore, we're creating those opportunities. Do you want to learn about book publishing? We're here to teach you the process if you have a story to tell. So yes, it's probably, if we're looking across the nation, name another model like ours that's comprehensive, that has a social justice mission, and is community-based. I'd like to start with the invitation that we all can make a difference. My story can be your story too. The greatest challenge that we have is when we see a problem, to have the determination to create a solution. I did that. I saw the literacy challenge, not only with my clients, but also as a researcher in the data. And I knew that we didn't have to sit there and continue to look at the problem. We could create ways to engage children, family, and community in a comprehensive way. That's my mission and vision. What's yours? And the beauty of leadership is, it's not about position. It's not about title or an exercise of power. It's about that commitment in your heart to say that you're going to leave the world a better place than how you found it. And we can do that in big and small ways. And if you go to our mission of Planting People Growing Justice, it's about planting those seeds of social change that it starts with you and I. When we see that challenge, when we see something that's not working in the community, we can say, and notice what I'm going to say for the last piece of this, together we can create change. Go block by block, neighbor by neighbor, and let's lift our voices for justice.